Hello, leaders in a pandemic. We're going to continue talking about leadership. I'm Roger Haskett. We were talking about video communication in the last series of videos. What I want to talk about here is more along the lines of self-care. It's more along the lines of fighting to be positive. It's more along the lines of making sure that you yourself are filling yourself up with as much positive energy as possible in the day so that you have resources to help you through the harder parts of the day. Right? That's the idea, that we fill up our reservoir with power so that we have that power when we need it. My children, there's an awesome children's book about all of us have a pail over our head, and we either are filling our pail or emptying it out, or we're filling other people's pails or we're emptying it out with our actions and with our attitudes and with our behavior, with our thoughts. So this is true. Like, this is true for us. Like, what that children's storybook was talking about was how important it is for us to keep our buckets as full as possible so that we have the resources to draw upon when we need them. So what does this mean for you as a leader? So I've been talking about Seek Out Joy in the other channel, which is for people in a pandemic. So these two channels overlap completely because as leaders, you're people in a pandemic, and most people who are in a pandemic are also leaders at some point or another. But anyway, what we've been talking about is self-care, and in particular, seek out joy. That it is so important for us to seek it out, not just to collect the joy that comes our way, but to seek it out, to look for it. And when we go, like I describe it as being a homing missile for joy and for fun and play, these ideas over there, that when you hear them, when you sense them, when you're like, oh, I feel a little joy in the room, in the space, in my house, in my area, that you should seek it out so that you can go to that source of joy and pull some of that joy, share that joy and pull it into your life, so that when you return to other things in your life, you have that joy to draw upon, that deep reservoir of power and happiness and joy that can help you through the darker times. Let's talk about more specific. So in particular, one of the ways that we reach for joy is through gratefuls. And most businesses, I think, turn away from gratefuls because they think that's airy-fairy, that's artsy-fartsy, that's, feely. It's not, we have to work on things, and we're busy. Let's face it, we're all busy during a pandemic. There's a lot more work. That's sometimes there's more work and sometimes there's not, but often there's more work. So we're busy. Who has more time to, who has time to, say, hey, we're going to do gratefuls? But what I would recommend is that you build gratefuls into your business life. And what that means, not just for you, but it means for your C-suite and for your other leaders and for your managers and for your staff and for your frontline workers and everyone, that they build gratitude into their daily practice so that they can use this power when they need it. Because gratefuls are about power. They're about seeing the world differently, and by seeing it differently, pulling that power towards you. Because instead of letting the negative overwhelm you, which is what we often do as humans, and we are geared to do. We are set up to let negative overwhelm us with its power. We have to fight back with the positive. We have to fight to be positive. And one of the ways we do that is through gratefuls. And one of the ways that we do that is by forcing our brains to find things that are grateful, even in times when we feel that there aren't any. Which, when you're working through a pandemic, you might be feeling that there's a lot of things to not be grateful for, right? Because there are lots of things not to be grateful for. But finding the things that you are grateful for in the midst of a pandemic provides power. No, that's not right. It generates power. It generates power in you and your teams and your staff. So this is what I would recommend. I recommend that, you have meetings where you start, or in the middle, or when the energy is low, you do gratefuls. And the challenge with doing gratefuls, hey, everyone, let's just start doing gratefuls, is that lots of people are going to have challenges with that, especially in a larger group. What I recommend is that you use the Zoom function or whatever platform you're using to divide people up and put them into breakout rooms and put them into small groups so that you have groups of 2 or 3, and then you give them the job. You say, hey, your job for the next 3 minutes is to identify 3 things that each of you are grateful for in your job right now. I know it's hard. This is what you're saying to them. I know that there's lots it feels to be not grateful for, but we're going to dig down to find out what what we can be grateful for. And then to hear what people say, those things will be very valuable for other people to hear too. So when you come back from the breakout rooms, what you want to do is build in enough time, like another 3 or 4 minutes, to have people go, yeah, here's some of the things that we're grateful for, so that people can hear it, and that power comes into your organization. Right? These are ideas not just because they're good ideas. Like, they are good ideas. They're good for our mental health. They're good for our bodies and our relationships. All that is true. But this is also good as a leader. This is not only because you're modeling awesome behavior, but because you're encouraging people to build up resources in themselves, resilience in themselves, right? Resilience, internal power in themselves as they reach for gratefuls in a time when it's hard to find things to be grateful for. Okay, I'm Roger Haskett. We're talking about how to not only survive but thrive as leaders in a pandemic, right? We're trying to figure out how to thrive. So we're talking about gratefuls, seek out joy. We're talking about communication, how important it is for you to communicate, right? And gratefuls are a great way to keep communication going on a positive, fighting to be positive level. Thank you.